Hi, I'm Bree.
And I'm Charlie. And we're the
And we're the
TBI
TBI
rock
Rock
stars.
Stars. Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
And we're back
We're back.
after almost 18 months away.
A long time.
And now we're on Zoom.
Woohoo!
Embrace the pandemic lifestyle.
It's true. It actually works out really well because I just recently moved to Virginia. So now Bree's in Vermont and I'm in Virginia, and we can still do this because of Zoom. So that's great.
And we just seem like the cool kids because pandemic. This is what we would do.
Right, we're fitting right in, doing all the things. Yeah.
So, Charlie, what have you been up to for the last year and a half?
Stuff. So,
do those questions tend to catch you off guard, like in real life?
Yeah, well, because it's, I'm not someone who like carries around a quick access to what I've done anytime recently or far away. So, but I thought about it because we had a minute before this started. So I improved. I stopped writing a blog and converted to working on a book in the middle of the year. So I wrote. Mary got a new job. We got married.
Yay!
And now yay! In March, the pandemic wedding. Yay! No one was there. We took pictures though. And then we moved to Virginia last week, a week and a half ago, something like that. Crazy.
So you've just been chilling, hanging out.
Yeah, not much. Doing stuff. Doing a lot of painting. I did a lot of painting and a lot of packing, and most recently, and unpacking. I don't know if I'm necessarily articulate or capturing the whole year and a half, but those are the things that pop to mind.
It's been a busy year. That's a lot of big transitions for sure.
Yeah. So Bree, what have you been up to for the last year and a half?
So I think our last TBI Rockstars video was about rest being an action word.
Yes.
And then I got hired and started working in software. People gave me money to make decisions about software.
All right.
And here we are 18 months later and they're still doing it. So I guess that's amazing. A good sign.
That's amazing.
So yes, it's been a very big transition to go back to work, and I'm still not working full time, but I am definitely working consistently 5 days a week. And I work from home as a consultant, which is a good fit for my situation. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think the best thing about it is that I can really consistently look back at what I was capable of, say, a year ago, and see where the fact that I've been working a little bit has led to me being able to work more and to do that consistently. So that's made me really happy.
Good.
Ta-da! Everyone's all caught up.
Huh.
So
go ahead.
I thought it might be good if we each shared a little bit of insight as to what it was like going through those transitions, managing a concussion.
Well, shit.
Crazy laughter.
I should write a book about that or something. Oh, that's good too. It's a lot.
It is a lot. I think the biggest, the biggest philosophical thought that I've had as a brain injured person over the last year has been that in my former life, I really focused on performance. And the more I performed, the prouder I was of myself, or the more I gave myself value. Mm-hmm. And that mindset is part of what led to crashing and burning so much, even before the concussion. If you're like, I'll just skip lunch and work harder, I don't need to sleep, right? Like that's not a healthy or balanced mindset. And even before I hit my head, it didn't necessarily serve me all that well.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm going back to work as a brain injured person, I have to have it in my mind that it is just as important to have a nutritious lunch as it is to get a little bit more work done and make a little more money. It is just as important to talk to my friends and have social connections as it is to get back to that really super important Slack message. There's got to be that balance, and the better I can hold that balance, the more sustainable my career is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a good point, Bree. I think as people recovering from brain injuries, we're much more aware that what our foundation is built on, because we built it ourselves brick by brick over the last several years, right? Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, you've got to keep your nutrition, you got to manage your stress, you've got to keep your social connections, you got to have a stable home environment, you got to have all these things in order to function, or it's trying to like control that mystery that always bothered me for all those years. Is like, I don't know why today I can do this and tomorrow I can't. And then the next day I could do something else, but maybe not for another month after that. Like I think it's how I manage the inconsistency of what my functionality will be is by creating that foundation and maintaining it. And then that really decreases the variation, at least as I've gotten to this point in my recovery, you know? I think, yeah, because I've really improved over the last year and a half. Finally got some drugs that really work for me, rah. And I think the challenge is not going back to that old behavior when I can, because I really like to get tasks done. I really like to get things done. It feels good. It feels good to accomplish tasks. Now those tasks are a lot more easy for me if they're physical instead of mental. Mm-hmm. But it feels really good to accomplish things. I like getting things done. And so I have found myself on multiple occasions just like getting too uber focused, but I still have a lot of that, like that training I've given myself. So like I do take breaks. Even when I'm doing something, I take a break regularly. And I don't think of it as a fail or a waste of time. It just is what is necessary so that I can go back to it and like do this thing and then take a break. So yeah, I think going forward, what I need to remember as I continue to get more and more functional is not to forget the lessons I learned and the behaviors I developed that allowed me to get to this point, because that would be stupid.
That's it in a nutshell, my friend. I feel like you focus on your foundation, the nutrition, the social time, the meds, mm-hmm. the exercise in moderation. Mm-hmm. You get better, and then you're like, and now I can forget all this stuff and go play. And then you go like this.
Yep, it's true.
Because it's so seductive for it to be easy again.
It's so, It's so easy. When things are easy, oh, it's so great. Like life being easy, it's like, wow, it's so fun. It's so much more fun. But
I have almost like a trigger in my brain where when I have like that next little chunk of recovery, mm-hmm. and it fires less and less over time. I mean, I am almost 7 years into this. I've kind of accepted it at this point. Mm-hmm. There's just that little trigger in my brain where it's like, oh, I got a little bit better and now I'm all better, right? Like you just want to skip ahead a little bit.
Right. Just go do those things that you haven't felt like you've been able to do. Yeah, because you're doing a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've been prompted through all these years of the very slow gains I've got and I've, developed, is like, I've done that so many times of like, oh, not that I'm all better. I don't think that, but I'm like, oh, now I can do this thing. And then I do this thing and it turns out actually, no, I really can't. Or I didn't do enough proper strategies, accommodations to like make that possible. And then I feel like shit. So I don't like doing that. Yeah, there's still things that are difficult after all these years, for all that I'm functional.
And I feel like that is the ongoing challenge, is to radically accept that we are diverse-abled and that we are at a certain point along the way. And we might not ever get to 100% again, or what feels like 100%, but we will continue to move and be in a new spot, a new mix of functional and less functional all the time.
And I think you're right. And I think being around, like I am part of several groups with older people. And that's made me realize that like when you get older, you start losing your memory, or like certain things, you lose things more, or like things are physically harder. And so it makes me realize like, yeah, it's all, my abilities are always going to be changing. Like I'm going to improve here, whatever I'm working on, I'm going to improve in. Time changes, my body changes, life changes. I'm being stimulated in different ways. It's always going to be changing.
And right now, I mean, there's a pandemic, which
just wear your mask.
Causes stress for people in so many ways that right now we might not be making forward progress. Like right now, progress might be having the acceptance to stay with ourselves and accept what's happening when we're actually doing a little worse than we were before, because we're handling more stress.
Right. And I think that underlying stress, my injury has made me more aware of like that underlying stress takes a toll. And so even though it seems like everything's the same, it's really not when everybody's movements are changed. People have to think about masks. You have all the, like that just takes extra energy, and that might make it so you can't do as much as you normally do.
We were just talking about this the other day when we were in Messenger video call instead of Zoom video call about your move and exercising.
Oh, right. Well, I think part of that's the weather.
But that's part of moving, right? Do you want to talk about that a little bit, about the
change?
What is it called? None to
run. Oh, so I'm doing this, my exercise. I've been working on my cardio, so I'm doing none to run. Actually, I guess I started that sometime last year. I've had to start, this is my third time starting over, in case you're wondering. Yeah. But it goes at increments small enough that I can actually do the program. Yeah. And so before I left Vermont, I got to the point where I could jog 20 minutes without stopping, slowly, but I could do it.
Which is amazing.
Which is amazing. Which is like week 10 of the program, of a 12-week program. And then I got here and I'm like, okay, well, I already know from my experience that I need to like bump it back a little bit because new environment, stress, moving, da, da, da. So I did, okay, I'm going to jog 20 minutes. I'm going to jog 2 minutes, walk 30 seconds for 25 minutes. And I did that twice. I tried a third time and it was clearly way too much. And after that feedback, I've learned not to just try to push through, because honestly, in my old life, if I just kept on doing it and let myself be miserable, I would have eventually been able to do it, but I've been miserable in the interim. Now it could like totally like knock my foundation out from under me. I keep on trying to push through. So instead I started the program over. So now I walk for 2 minutes and jog for 30 seconds. And incidentally, that's working well for me. And it's still actually about what the limit of what I can do.
Right. And it's about you made an adjustment, but it actually wasn't a big enough adjustment.
Right.
Because you just moved to like an entirely different climate. You're obviously going to be stressed from moving, and it can eat up all of your bandwidth, to where walking for most of it and just running a tiny bit is the appropriate boundary.
It is. And I'm glad that I don't fight myself on it anymore, because what I found is I need my body not to have a negative association with an activity if I want to continue to do it.
Yes.
So if I had continued to try to make my body do this, even if it didn't immediately cause my foundation to come out from under me, my body would have gotten a negative association with jogging. And then I would have had this like block from being able to do it. I don't know why that is. It's just something that is. So I had to stop, reassess before I created a negative impression on my body.
Which is such a good idea. And I had to do a similar thing with work recently where I'm headed into a big deadline. And so not my best thinking, but I thought I'll just double my work hours and that'll be fine for 4 weeks. I'll just power through. Sound familiar? Do they like this kind of magical thinking and like Al-Anon and like AA? Like, does that come up? Anyhow, what I had to do was really think things through from the ground up and really prioritize and then do the really crucial things so that I probably gave a lot more productivity than like my average hourly productivity. But by doing that, I was able to keep my hours down a lot more.
Oh, good.
And even doing that, I started getting pretty bad brain fog on like week 2.
Oh, damn.
And so at one point I was thinking like, oh, I know, I'll work through the weekend and I'll make more money.
I see.
But fortunately, I thought better of it when my head started pounding.
Good.
So I rested not only through the weekend, but also that Monday. And then started slowly returning to my regularly scheduled hours. But it is about that constant reassessment and just reassessing where you are all the time.
And kudos for you for having the mental clarity to like be able to assess, like just being able to assess and like figure out what actually needed to be done. For years was probably outside my ability. So yay you.
Is it mental clarity when like your head just hurts hard enough you got to stop?
No, well, I mean, insofar as like figuring out what absolutely has to get done versus like getting everything done that you want to get done.
I know what you mean, and I was really thankful to keep my ability to think to some extent.
I'm glad you stopped and didn't work on the weekend.
Yeah, maybe my budget doesn't thank me, but I think my future self does.
Yeah.
Like, my overall budget for like my ability to work for the next year probably does thank me, even if my next paycheck doesn't. And I think the reality of having a brain injury and being in recovery is that has to be your mindset. Is not just the next paycheck, but the next year.
Yeah, you gotta that whole marathon versus a sprint. Like, you gotta think the long haul.
Yep,
absolutely. It is challenging though, because you can't. I don't remember what I was gonna say. Never mind. That's great. Let's focus on you.
So I think we'll wrap this video up pretty soon, but I just wanted to throw out there some thoughts I've had on future videos that we could do, so that for people watching this video, they can leave us some comments, give us some feedback on what might be topics that they would enjoy seeing us address. So one topic, obviously, I don't think we can even like use the word pandemic or whatever, like YouTube has rules around it, so we'll look at that. But basically, what it's like having a brain injury during a pandemic. That is a topic that we could address if people are interested in it. And I think some other things that we could maybe talk about is sort of like one thing that I've done recently is started using this app called Curable, which really looks at the mind-body connection. We could do a video about that and some of the alternative modalities that we've tried more recently. We have things to say about that. I'm sure Charlie could do a whole video about how to make moving go smoothly when you have a brain injury. Just start 8 months ahead of time.
Yeah, actually, we've been tracking since December.
Exactly.
6 months. A solid 6.5 months. 6 months of work. 6.5, maybe 7. You know. Yeah. That's true.
but I think there could be stuff to talk about there. And then in my own life, I also went through having a mold sickness in the last year and a half. And it's made me think some about how mold is maybe an underlying thing that can prevent us from healing from a brain injury where we otherwise would. And so that's another thing that I'm happy to talk about if people find it useful at all. But if there's something that you want to see us address that we have not thought of, please send us a comment. Let us know. We're happy to be in Zoom and chat about things.
Yeah, totally. And
here.
Another thing I was thinking is like, because my entire life has changed and I've moved here, I have to completely restructure my day. So maybe we could talk about how to structure your day successfully, or even be able to like I've had a lot of challenge wrapping my head around scheduling my day.
Yeah.
So we could talk about that.
We could totally talk about that. And also you have to find like all new providers,
new social connections, meeting people with masks on. Everything is new.
This is going to be like 6 videos right there.
It could be. Yeah. Lots of things. I don't know. There's always things we can talk about since this has impacted so many different parts of our life for so many years.
Absolutely. And we're still living it, right? Like
yeah. I've kind of accepted it's not something that's going away. It's just something that is one of the things I need to consider as I strategize.
It doesn't go away, but it evolves all the time.
Yes, it does.
All the time.
Yep.
So,
okay. I'm going to listen to the recording.
Do you feel done? Have we said what we need to say to everyone? We're happy to be back. We're looking forward to kind of recommitting ourselves to making these videos. It kind of fell off the radar when I went back to work, but we're looking forward to sharing stuff with you all.
Agreed. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.